All right, everybody, welcome. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Let's get through this. We're going to talk about Arkansas Razorback. Well, the signing class, Razorback Football signing class. Let's get to it. 3, 2, 1. Yo. All right. There are some changes that are coming to this channel. I'm working out the kinks. If you notice something, the intro is no longer going to be – I'm working on shrinking the intro a little bit. The names, the Patreon names are now going to appear at the end of the show. So, you know, there are a couple different reasons to do that. I just kind of want to get into it a little bit quicker, a little bit faster for you. So hopefully from here on out, the intros won't be as long. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. It's a change I'd been planning on making for a while, but I figured why not. So other than me explaining it's just one of the changes. We got some more stuff on the way. 2024, we made a lot of changes in 23. Holy crap. We made so many changes, and they've worked out for the better. So I appreciate you guys. Of course, I've got to give a shout-out to Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this is not possible. I appreciate you. Right now, we're almost to 100 Patreon supporters. We're at 97. 97 supporters. That's incredible. So thank you guys so much. I'm also going to space out. I'm going to try to space out my ad reads throughout the show as well. But yeah, so it's a work in progress. It always is, man. Working to get better. Okay. What's good, Ty? What's up, Chris McKnight, man? How you doing? How's it going, bro? Mizzou is tearing it up. Why can't we do that? Well, it kind of helps when you beat the crap out of your rival and you win 10 games. They're on an upward trend right now. Mizzou's kind of doing a lot really well. You got to give them credit. You got to tip the cap to Mizzou. Ole Miss is absolutely crushing it. I'm not surprised. Lane Kiffin, this is the effect of having Lane Kiffin and what he can do when you're there for a while, right? You know, he and Pittman hired at the same time, and of course we know, like Drinkowitz, you see the difference between the three. It's not to say that it's all been bad, right, for Sam. Anyways, Drinkowitz, going into this season, it was Mizzou fans were, okay, if we go 6-6 or 5-7, we got to fire him. They were not real thrilled. Other than beating Arkansas, that was like the only thing they had to kind of hang their hats on, and he finally delivered. So there is something to be said if you're not at certain schools, not everywhere, at certain schools, there's a buildup, and eventually there's a payoff. And I think that's what's happened at Missouri. And I think that might be the approach. We haven't talked enough. Maybe that's what Hunter Yurchek's thinking. Like, yeah, okay, Pittman peaked in 21. Maybe he can get back to that. Maybe he can get back to that 2021 success. Maybe that's his reasoning, and he didn't want to come out and say that Missouri's – I mean, they did it right. Remember, coming into this year, even a school like Missouri was ready. If he didn't win 6 games this year, the talk was – I look at their Twitter from time to time. Their fans wanted him gone. And look what happened. Now they're thrilled, right? It's kind of like Ole Miss. Although Missouri has found success, they've been somewhat successful in football before. It's not like they're completely brand new. But this level of success, look, next year it's going to be hard to not see them probably top 4, top 5 in SEC power polls. It's going to be hard to not see them up there. Ole Miss in basketball. They made the right hire. The difference is basketball, you can turn it around overnight, and Ole Miss is doing exactly that, with especially when you consider who they hired, right? So now they've discovered the sport of basketball. They're currently 11-0, the only undefeated team in the SEC, currently ranked. And before you say they haven't beat anybody, I would argue, yeah, you're probably right, although they took care of business against Memphis. But they did barely beat Temple. Was it Temple or Troy? Someone really bad. They beat them by like a point at home. And they beat Memphis at home. Neutral floor, I'd probably take Memphis. At Memphis, I would obviously take Memphis. But they're playing pretty good ball. I'm going to, you know what, Addison, who comes through, an Ole Miss fan, loves to troll. I still think Tennessee's going to beat you, Addison. I still think Tennessee's going to come get you. I really do. You got to play them in Knoxville. So good luck with that. Ty, if Arkansas can get 10 wins at some point like Missouri Ole Miss, what is our recruiting ceiling? Well, you're always up against it. In the NIL era, we don't know what that's like, really. When they won 9 games, they still ended up with about a top 25 class. They went 8, they won 8 regular season games, and of course you had an early signing period. I think that year it was December 15th. And so you didn't have that 9th, you had to wait a while, right, to pick up that next win before the signing period or after the signing period. So we don't know what it's like to win 10 games in a year. At least we haven't in over a decade. 2010, 2011, you did it back-to-back with Ryan Mallett and Tyler Wilson. I don't know. In the NIL era, who knows? I'm going to tell you guys, I the in-state recruiting, horrible. It was bad. It was bad. It wasn't good. The in-state recruiting this year was not good. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. You lost out, and before people start saying, well, we backed off of Huff. We backed off. No. You did when you knew you weren't gonna get these guys. Yeah, you did. No, Arkansas got beat in their own state. And that's something folks forget how good, Barry Lunny Jr., that was something he did really well. He helped, you talk about putting up a fence around the state. Barry Lunny did that. I'm not advocating for Barry Lunny to come back or anything. I'm just saying it seems like in-state recruiting sometimes is pretty challenging for Arkansas when you consider you only really put out a small handful of really SEC quality players. Man, you got to get those guys. They didn't do well this year, and I'm not real thrilled with what they did there in the in-state. However, I'm going to give you my 5 guys out of this class that I really like. And, yeah, you're probably going to guess 3 or 4 of them, I'm sure. But this was a pretty top-heavy class overall, and I'm not talking just in-state. Overall, it was a pretty top-heavy class. I do realize, the transfer portal is going to change things up a little bit. We do still have a final signing period in February, so we'll kind of see what they end up doing. Right now, and there's a little bit of confusion as to how much room they have. It's 8 spots left, and Sam apparently is expecting someone to not come back, of the super seniors. So it's looking like they're going to have room for 8. They have 10 visits left. Now you're coming up with single-digit visits, which is actually not that bad considering you don't have a ton of space. I mean, right? You've got more visits than you have. You have more visits left than you have scholarships. So that's not a bad problem to have, right? And then assuming maybe you still want to go after someone if you're able to. I forget what that window looks like as far as the dead period. It gets really wonky. I'm telling you, the NCAA rules are so strange, but I get it. You're dealing with minors, high school students, and whatnot. You have to have these kids are going to high school. You got to let them live their lives. I get it. Need a major overhaul in recruiting. Need obviously a major overhaul in the portal and NIL. Talon Green has me ecstatic. That guy's potential is extraordinary. Tercer over here using them big words. You're not wrong. I think he looks listen, big playability, big time. Now, again, the 5 I'm giving you are just high school players. These are not the transfers. We will talk about them as well. High school recruiting means nothing nowadays. This class will transfer in 2 years. Doesn't that kind of suck? I mean, it takes a certain edge or it takes a certain level of excitement out of high school recruiting. It does. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, guys. Not just doing a show, but following recruiting. I had a buddy's, don't tell Trey Biddy or anybody. I had a friend's login back in the day, and I used it because I was broke as hell. And he let me, he left his login on my computer, and I used it. And, that's been a long time ago. That was back when, God, who was the other recruiting service? You had Rivals and you had Scout. You guys remember Scout? That's been probably 12, 13 years ago. But yeah, I've kept up with recruiting for a really long time. Kept up with Hogville, kept up with all those guys. Some really good writers, some really good, folks that do a really good job in following recruiting and whatnot. And yeah, it just sucks that now it feels like, all right, well, we'll see if they stick it out. Because I feel like I have to say that with every prospect. Well, hopefully he sticks it out. Well, I sure do like this kid, 4-star. I sure hope he sticks around a couple of years. Rocket Sanders gone. A.J. Green gone. The list goes on. But, yeah. Did I hear Sam say we signed a portal running back? Maybe I heard him wrong. I don't think he's – so we'll go over that, Todd. We'll get to that in just a second. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Again, if you're just now coming in and you're a Patreon supporter and you're like, hey, where was the name scroll? We're now doing that at the end of the show. Which, originally was my plan. I was running out of time. True story, running out of time. And I was trying to get my shares out and everything across all social media. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to play the name scroll now. And I did. And that's just what I stuck with. So we're going to go back to, we're going to go to name scroll at the end of the show. So, all right. Any word on Bradley? Yeah. So I'll tell you on Bradley Shaw, Patreon supporters found out about this earlier today. He is expected to be a Razorback. That is the expectation. I think we're still waiting on him, I guess. Yeah, they're expecting to get him. They are. Considering the year we had, I think the class is pretty good. It could have been a lot worse. That is very true. We have to keep things in perspective. You just went I mean, all things considered, it could have been a hell of a lot worse this year. All right? It could have been really worse in recruiting. That's a very fair statement. Who said that? Lyle Deaton. Thank you for that. Hopefully you're a Patreon supporter. Thank you, Ty. If you go to Hawk Sports, you would think we never lost a recruit, says Elvin. Yeah. Yeah, after 4-8, this is pretty damn good recruiting. I don't know if I'd go that. The in-state recruiting just gets me hung up. It was bad. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. But it's also, Sam Pittman reflected on it for a minute. He said, when what happened this year happened, kids aren't going to stick with you. I mean, he didn't put, that's obviously not verbatim. That's not an exact quote. There's something, and I've said this before, and I'll say it here. We've talked about it before. Kids don't grow up in Arkansas. I'm not saying all kids, all right? There's always that diehard parent, the dad who watches all the games, takes his kids to basketball, baseball, football, keeps them around Fayetteville, takes them to all the events that the U of A holds. There's always going to be those kids who want to be Razorbacks, but it's not like it used to be. It's just not. Kids don't grow up in South Arkansas, Little Rock, down in the River Valley, down in the Delta, Northeast Arkansas. It's just they don't grow up like we did. I'm 40, and as a kid, yeah, you bet your ass I wanted to be I wanted to play fullback or tight end at the University of Arkansas. Of course, when I got older and fatter, it was, man, I'd love to play offensive line at Arkansas. Those days, in terms of the overwhelming amount of that being the case like it used to be, it's gone. It's just not ever going to be the same. And that's not just NIL. That's not just the portal presenting opportunities, although those both play a big role. It's the exposure to all the other football, all the other teams with SEC Network, with ESPN 1 through Ocho, with Fox Sports. I mean, football's everywhere. And there was a time when you only got to watch Jefferson Pilot. You got to watch the Razorbacks, or you could only listen to them on the radio. The other side of it, too, Arkansas has not been good. For a decade, they've been, let's just be honest, they haven't even been the lower half. They've been the bottom 5, bottom 4 in this conference more consistently than anything. We can all black out the Chad Morris years, but they happened. We can black out that final Brett Bielema year, or the first Brett Bielema year, the John L. Smith year. We can all act like those didn't happen, but guys, they did. And you're just not what you once were. When I grew up, Arkansas was if you didn't win 9 games, in the 80s, it was like, what the hell happened this year? We didn't win 8 or 9 games. I mean, I vaguely remember that, but seems like Citadel changed everything. Joining the SEC, which happened around the same time, changed a lot. And it just is what it is. And it's not to say that it should be, we're never going to be good. Don't have that attitude. I don't think that's the case. We've had some damn fun. I mean, Houston Nutt, someone brought that up in a call the other night about how Houston Nutt, how we had that level of success. And then Petrino, it could happen. Maybe it does with him back. So anyways, let's not go on a tangent on that too far. But I don't think it's the end of the world. I really don't. I think the in-state recruiting, though, it's not going to be what it once was. Fortunately, proximity still matters to a lot of these kids. They want to be close to their families. So you should still be able to go into Oklahoma. You should still be able to go into South Arkansas, Central Arkansas, and have some success. We know in basketball and baseball they do just fine. All right. Let's really quick, I wanted to touch on, I didn't put it in the title. I do apologize for that. But looking at the SEC right now in basketball really quick. Ole Miss is 11-0. South Carolina continues. They're 10-1. Mississippi State is 9-2. Those are currently the top 3 wins-losses teams in the SEC. Auburn, Kentucky are both at 8-2. Florida at 8-3. Tennessee at 8-3, which is a little bit shocking. Surprising, not shocking. Arkansas 7-4, which I would argue is the biggest surprise of them all, outside of Ole Miss being undefeated, or South Carolina being 10-1. We're not into conference play yet. And it's not like these teams have played back-to-back-to-back really tough teams. I would argue Arkansas's had a pretty tough schedule along the way. These next 2 games are huge. Arkansas cannot lose either one of these games. Abilene Christian, who you're going to play a native, by the way, they have a forward who's from Little Rock. I know, you're shocked. Arian Simmons, 6'5" forward, 260 pounds. He's a big boy. 6'5", 260. I mean, that's a pretty big dude. That's a defensive end in the SEC. But he's from Little Rock, Arkansas. He's a senior forward. I think he kind of plays he's kind of like a combo forward, like he could play the 4 or maybe the 3. He's primarily a 4. Make no mistake about it. He's got good size, and he's currently scoring around what is he at? He's about 13 points a game, 6 rebounds, close to 6 rebounds, close to 2 assists. He's only turning the ball over 1.8 times. He is primarily a 4 guy. They're not super duper big. I don't think they have a true center on their roster. They've got a couple of they do have a 6'8" forward and Leonardo. I don't know how you pronounce that last name, but Bettiol. He's 6'8", 215. Another website showed him at 6'9", but whatever. And they do have 6'10", Aiden Igahan, 6'10", 250. They got some beef is what they have. Maybe not a lot of super duper height, but they've got some beef. So, yeah, that's something you got to keep an eye on. Arkansas can't lose these. They should take care of business, but my God, I thought Arkansas was going to wipe the floor with Lipscomb, and look how that went. So, this game going to be played inside Bud Walton. We'll see how things go now that they're back home. That's going to be tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Arkansas currently favored on the matchup predictor at 89%. All right. In-state recruiting is way better than I remember being an early 90s grad. I don't know about the early 90s, but I know throughout the modern era of recruiting, Arkansas has done a really good job. This year was not good in-state recruiting, man. I don't know what I'd love to know what you're seeing, but no, this was not good in-state recruiting. Arkansas struggled in-state. But again, the class ends up being better than it should have been. A lot better than it should have been. When you go 4-8, the belief is that the bottom is going to fall out, especially when you're coming out of year 4. The bottom's going to fall out. And it still might, and we talked about this the last time we were all here, the last time we were on the live show, this thing is going to get ugly. It still could, but I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit surprised they haven't had more guys transfer. Like we said, they're going to have guys probably transfer that look bad, but it's probably just as much about making room for those players or for the next batch of players. So Arkansas swung and missed on Courtney Crutchfield, Walker White, Brian Huff. Those guys are all gone. Joseph McVeigh. I don't know that Arkansas actually pushed on McVeigh. Austin Dindy never got an Arkansas offer to my knowledge. Drake Lindsey, another guy that did not get an offer from Arkansas, at least not that I'm aware of, that was a serious offer. They did get Kobe Branham, who's ranked right outside the top 10 in the state, depending on what website you look at. I like Kobe Branham. I like him. I think he's someone to keep an eye on. 6'6", 335 pounds. He's a hoss. He's a hoss. You had, looking down this list, I mean, there's not outside the top 10 a whole lot of Power 5 football guys. Kobe Branham, Chauncey Johnson out of Lonoke. He's going to Oklahoma State. Again, these are not kids I'm saying that Arkansas offered. I don't know how to pronounce this kid's first name. His last name's Parker. He's out of West Memphis. I've seen his name come up before. Marquez, is that how you say it? Marquez Parker. He's going to Cincinnati, and that's really it of Power 5 kids going Power 5. So what is that? 10? Because you got Drake going to you got Drake Lindsey going to Minnesota. 11, 12 kids out of the state this year going Power 5. I do think some of these guys, I think a couple of them are definitely, underlooked. I've heard a lot about Elijah Newell, kid out of Maumelle. I kind of thought maybe Arkansas might throw him an offer if they swung and missed on a couple of others, but it didn't happen. He's going to UTSA. There could be more going on there than I realize, maybe grades or something. I don't know. But Austin Dindy's going to go to Mizzou. Brian Huff to Mizzou. Courtney Crutchfield to Mizzou. So obviously you miss on a couple of those guys. Again, Dindy, not Dundee, like the Dundee Awards. Austin Dindy, who was, went to Pine Bluff, played with Courtney Crutchfield. We showed that yesterday. We went into the Discord live, and we actually watched that live stream go down. Didn't think he was going to sign. Didn't think he was going to recommit and sign to Arkansas. It just sucks to see a player of that, with this dude's skill set to end up at Missouri. It sucks. It sucks that Missouri also took Brian Huff. I like Brian Huff. 6'4", 6'3.5", 6'4", 220-pound linebacker. Give this dude a couple of years. He's going to break rotation. I like him a lot. He is a 4-star according to 247. Or is that their composite? Hang on. Yeah, their composite. He's a .89 4-star. And, yeah, they did back off, but I think they backed off, from what I understand, after they knew they weren't going to get him. So, I just wasn't that impressed. At the same time, again, it's not like this year, like this 2024 class was overloaded with a bunch of Power 5 talent. It just wasn't. I mean, not according to the recruiting services. It just wasn't. So again, it's I don't think it's a complete horrible job, but it was not. I don't think it was a very good job in-state recruiting. I mean, you're kind of used to them taking about 6 or 7 of their top 10. Now, we also realize that the transfer portal does have an impact on all this, and it just kind of is what it is, right? I'm glad they got Collins. I'm glad they got Braylon Russell. Wyatt Simmons is a guy that doesn't get enough love. He didn't make my top 5 players, but he came close. He came really close, as did Kobe Branham out of Fort Smith Southside. So yeah. CJ Brown's another one who they picked up, who ranked number 8 in the state. 6 foot, 185-pound receiver out of Bentonville. Let's see. I should have said in-state talent. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know. I was in, like, you said in the early 90s, I was in grade school. I was at Jefferson Elementary. I'm 42, and we used to play 3 games in Little Rock too. No one wants to do that anymore, but everyone still wants the loyalty. What's that say about cake and eating it too? Here's the problem, Kingsley. we've gone over this time and time again. I'm not going to go in deep like I did last time and get into an argument about Little Rock, but no one else does that. No one else is doing that. It doesn't make economic sense to spend that kind of money to go down to Little Rock and play. If that's all it takes for loyalty is, you know what, we're going to come down here and play. I don't know what to think of that. I'm only loyal to you if you play at Little Rock. I mean, I don't know. I mean, no one else does that. There are plenty of schools who have the capacity to do that, and they don't. So that's all I'll say on that. With the transfer portal free for all, these Arkansas players might want to come home. Big if Arkansas somehow gets things on solid ground. Let's see. I guess we should talk positive after 4-8. Yeah. Well, let's go in. Let's go ahead and just look at these individual players here really quick. I had the list of names. Where'd you go? Oh, no. Where'd you go? All right. They did send out an offer, and this was pretty late, to this kid, Cross Johnson. His first name is spelled really cool. It's like Krosse Johnson. He's out of Holy Cross, New Orleans. Played at Holy Cross, 5'9", 170 pounds. Apparently, this kid is lightning quick. I've not watched any film on this dude, any videos. Pittman kind of went on about him. I guess he caught Bobby Petrino's eye. Very fast, 5'9", 170 pounds. I can see this dude lining up in the slot, but he doesn't even have a profile picture on 247. He's unranked. So, yeah, looking at your I can't sort. Looking at they signed a lot of athletes, C.J. Brown, Tevis Metcalf, Julius Pope. Julius Pope is a very interesting case. They got him out of Batesville, Mississippi. Could play just about anywhere in the secondary, apparently. Can line up I say anywhere. He could line up at their nickel or their hog. Can line up at safety. He can line up at 2 or 3 different spots on the defense. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife of a player. 6 foot, 195 pounds. Apparently he has the frame to tack on plenty of more weight. He's interesting. Again, it's kind of it sounds like a project, right? It sounds like a project type player, and hopefully he can find his spot on the defense. But, looking at their defense, Wyatt Simmons, 6'3", 215, very aggressive, according to Sam Pittman. Very, very aggressive. 3-star. He's a top 55 linebacker in the country. Again, number 8 player in the state of Arkansas. I remember early on, it was kind of a big deal to get him to commit. There was a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot. There were some expectations that he could break into 4-star status. Now, I don't know that was ever a thing. That was certainly something that was discussed in a couple different places, but no recruiting service that I know of, that wasn't anything that would seem like it had any real legitimacy to it, but had heard that they liked Wyatt and they liked his aggressiveness at linebacker. Again, he's a good-sized kid. You're talking about 6'3", 215 pounds. C.J. Brown, who's we'll see what he does when he gets here. Tevis Metcalf, we know about him and his relationship here with the university. Kobe Branham is a guy who, again, I've already kind of talked about him a couple of times, out of Southside, 3-star, .86 3-star. Oklahoma State had offered him. Ole Miss had offered him. No idea on the legitimacy of those offers. Or, you know what I mean? If they were confirmed committable offers. Schools put out offers all the time, and sometimes they're committable, sometimes they're not. From what I understand, though, there's some schools that really liked him. I think SMU was another one. Cody Kennedy was the one that originally reached out to him. 6'6", 335, like we already mentioned. Watched him a lot. He looks to me like someone – I feel pretty good about the possibility of him sticking around. Knock on wood. Feel pretty good about the possibility of him sticking around. I think proximity to the River Valley, I think that probably carries a little bit with him, which also could mean he ends up somewhere in Oklahoma in a couple of years. Who knows, right? But, yeah, I like him. I like what I've seen of him. I've talked to a couple of people about him. I know someone who actually watched him play. I think he's got really high ceiling, good potential. Someone worth keeping an eye on for sure. I think that was a good get for them. Akari Johnson is someone who's interesting. 5'11", 175 pounds, offers from TCU, Oklahoma State. I don't have his. I think Arizona, one of the Arizona schools offered him. Had gone on an official visit to TCU back in June. I'm trying to pull up his recruiting profile. Hang on. Here we go. 5'11", 175 pounds, 3-star. Yeah, he did have he had an offer from Oklahoma State and TCU, and I think those were all legit. Those were all committable offers. Another player that might be worth keeping an eye on. All right. So that puts Arkansas right now, their composite rank, according to 247, at 28th in the country. Their overall rank at 27th. I don't know if it goes up or down. Again, every school is going to play it a little bit differently. Every school is going to play the portal versus high school recruiting differently. So we'll see if they go up, if they go down. We'll see what they do. But that's 16 total commits or signed letter of intents. I think again they're still waiting on. I think they're still waiting on Jeremy Cook, 6'3", 190-pound safety. I don't know if we have confirmation that Cook actually ended up signing. Again, good-sized kid out of Hoover. I don't remember his offer list being like incredible. I think he had one other Power 5 offer. But yeah, they I think that if they can get him to sign, you know how I feel. Many of you who've watched me for a while, I like those taller, athletic safeties. I like those guys that just have a little bit of height on them, you know, some good length in the arms. Jeremy Cook certainly seems like someone who could, he committed late in this recruiting cycle. He recruited back in like August or July. And then in the transfer portal, they ended up with, right now, I shouldn't say they ended up. They haven't ended up yet. They're not done. But they have currently 8. Xavion Sori, that's big. Former 5-star. That is big. This guy has some experience under his belt. He's been at Georgia, I think, for 3 years. So I think this is going into his senior year at Arkansas. Correct me if I'm wrong. Addison Nichols was another kid. I think that was the kid that Sam Pittman commented on and said that when I was at Georgia, I offered him on the spot when he was a sophomore. So he obviously likes Addison Nichols. There's a prior relationship there. So they got those guys. Fernando Carmona, he's a guy that grades out really good on PFF. You're getting a guy that had some quality starts at San Jose State. He also has some time under his belt. That's a good get. I like him. I'm not saying he's coming in and he's busted down the doors and he's going to be a starter. I'm telling you, though, I like him a lot. Danica Slaughter out of Tennessee. Of course, Taylon Green. Andreas Paskey out of Eastern Michigan. And Keyshawn Blackstock, another good get out of the portal from Michigan State. So, let's see here. Get caught back up on chat. Agreed, Ty. I get the challenges, but no one else has the specific issues the U of A has. Kids want to see teams that play. Let's see. Kids want to see the teams that they love play. You can't be upset we missed on a Pine Bluff kid when he's 5+ hours away. Yeah, but I mean, Nebraska faces similar issues. What about Wisconsin? You know, it just economically, man, it doesn't make sense. You know, guess what? They've played in Little Rock, and they've whiffed on players in Little Rock. Keith Jackson Sr., his name comes to mind. He went to Oklahoma. And you played in Little Rock back in those days. You're just not going to win all those battles. At the end of the day, you're just not. You know, you've lost out on guys like Michael Dyer, Alty Tenpenny, you know, but you've also landed guys. You've also landed guys out of Central Arkansas, plenty of them, in the time that you've, you know, gone to one game or whatever in Little Rock. Just got to play up here, man. And, you know, you're still pretty close to Tulsa. You're still pretty close to, I mean, you know, you picked up some guys out of nowhere, Oklahoma, right? Bixby, Oklahoma gave you Luke Haas. You know, you've managed to go into Missouri and pick guys up. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you can't make everybody happy, and it just doesn't make any economic sense. It just really doesn't. I am tired of the Little Rock chat, though. I know some of you weren't here for that, but we went on and on about Little Rock the other night. And listen, I've had some great memories down there. I really have. I've tailgated down there once. It's been a while, maybe twice. No, once. Good people down there. I stand by what I've said, and I probably make a few NWA people unhappy when I say it. but I think the most diehard fans are outside of Northwest Arkansas. Not that there aren't any here. You lost those guys because the team was ass. Can't blame them, says Brandon Williams. There you go. I mean, Sam said it himself. He said it today. When you go 4-8, I mean, it's going to have an impact on recruiting. And it's like we said earlier, the fact that you finished this high, I say finished again, we got to stop saying that. The fact that you're this high at this moment, that says a lot. You know, that says a lot. And by the way, you still ended up getting Charleston Collins, right? You still ended up getting Charleston Collins, and you weren't supposed to, and they did. So, yeah, and Braylon Russell, you're talking about Central Arkansas right out of Benton. All right, let's talk about my top 5. Tell me I'm not having – let's see here. All right, top 5 players, and I'm going to go in order. Now, again, this doesn't mean – that I think all 5 of these dudes are just going to be elite and they're, going to be all Americans. I'm not saying that. These are just the top 5 guys out of this class that I like a lot. Number 5, we're going to go 5-1. Number 5 is Jaden Allen. This is a kid who started as a freshman in Aledo, Texas, and had an offer from Texas early. He decommitted, opened up his recruiting, ended up down the road a couple years later committing, obviously today, signing with the University of Arkansas. 5'10", 155 pounds. He's got to put on some weight. I like him, though. I've watched a little bit. I watched his huddle video. He looks pretty quick, I'll say that much. But again, 5'10", 155 pounds, 3-star. He doesn't have a whole lot of, he's considered the number 91 corner overall. I like this kid. I love that he started as a freshman he started for varsity as a freshman down in Aledo, Texas. And again, just watching his highlights, he looks like a lot of fun. Number 4, Charleston Collins. I know he should be higher. He's a number 2 player according to 247 or their composite. He's number 1, 6'5", 270. I've got him at number 4. I don't know. I just think we've I don't know. I kind of had to – you could look at these top 4 guys, honestly, and line them up just about anywhere, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. You could say Charleston Collins is number 1, and I would probably give that a pretty hard look. Maybe agree that he should be. I kind of feel like it's 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Again, I said earlier, I think this is kind of a top-heavy class, and these guys are about to prove that, right? But Charleston Collins, I just have at number 4 on my guys that I'm excited about. Ashton Bethel-Roman comes in at number 3. A lot of belief he was not going to sign with Arkansas, and he ends up doing just that. He's got speed. Sam Pittman talked a little bit about that. 6'1", about 6'1", 165 pounds. Another guy that's got to put on a little bit of weight. Guy had legit offers. He's out of Missouri City, Texas. Ashton Bethel-Roman. He's my number 3. I like him a lot. Number 2, Braylon Russell. 6'1", 230, 4-star, top 25 running back in the country. Depending on the site you look at. 247 Composite says he's number 22, and he's the number 4 player in the state of Arkansas. Pittman says he's ready to go now. And I talked to someone about him a little while back, and Pittman, he said it today, he's actually gotten better. Like, he's getting in even better shape. He's a good-sized kid, and Pittman believes he's ready to go now. I already liked him before Pittman said that, but that kind of bumped him up a little bit. For me to hear the head coach of the University of Arkansas to say that he's ready to go now, I believe, depending on what happens in the running back room. Now, A.J. Green, rumored to go to Tulsa. I don't know if that ever was confirmed. I think he said something on Instagram. Someone pointed that out. I think it was maybe Celtics for Life in Discord who pointed out that he'd said something on Instagram about Tulsa. But, we're still kind of waiting to see what happens with Dominic Johnson. Hopefully DeBinion, I want him back. I think too many people look at last year and they hold it against everybody, and I don't think that's really necessarily completely fair, right? Even when I say I'm not so sure about the receivers, that's not completely fair on my part, because I think there's just a clash of a lot of different things going on. Started with Dan Enos, or maybe the offensive line and then Dan Enos, but so many issues. I'd like to see Dominion come back, but there's a possibility here, and it sounds like there's some other guys that may still hit the portal. I wonder if it's not Dominic Johnson, if it's not another running back. I know you've already lost 2. Can you handle another one? That's not really common to happen, to lose 3 guys, but it's happened before at other schools. So maybe Braylon Russell, if that happens, could get some serious playing time, but I think he's already going to burn his red shirt. He's someone I believe will burn his red shirt this year. I believe that 110%. Now, that whole thing could change through fall camp. I haven't gotten confirmation as to whether or not he's going to be available for spring, but through fall camp, that could obviously change. You only know until you see it, right? But I like Braylon Russell a lot. There's a reason why back in the summer there was a big fight for him. All these different schools started, really heating up his recruiting, getting in, giving him calls and texting him and all this, and the visits and whatnot. There's a reason. This dude is I think he might even be underrated coming out of high school. Now there's durability, right? There's some stuff there. Anytime you're talking about a bigger back, durability is always something you bring up because bigger backs tend to take on more damage. They're not afraid because they have that size, they have that confidence, and he kind of runs that way. But watching his videos for the last however many years, I like everything I see about Braylon Russell. I kind of thought he would crack the top 5. Now, I can remember talking with Otis Kirk about him. There was a belief this kid could end up being a top 5, really highly rated running back out of high school, top 10, high 4-star, maybe even a low 5-star. You guys remember that about a year or so ago? Again, I'm really big on him. In fact, I almost made him my number 1. But my number 1 is Selman freaking Bridges. This kid, he's ready to go. I mean, 6'3", 175 pounds. Now, I've heard his weight they're wrong on. I've heard he's closer to about 175 to somewhere between 175, maybe a little bit above that. That's not a big difference. I think most sites have him at 170 pounds. But 6'3", 170 pounds. The second best corner, if I looked at that right, out of Texas. This was another guy that folks were saying, other fans, I'm not saying Arkansas fans, didn't believe he would end up signing here. Big-time player out of the state of Texas. 0.94 composite 4-star, even though that really had nothing to do with my decision. I just really think this is a guy high ceiling. There was some pressure there for his services. I hope, just like with all these kids, especially the top half of this recruiting class, I hope they stick it out here. But Selman Bridges I've got high hopes for him. And, anytime Marcus Woodson is in on you, when he's knocking on your door, it's got to be something. He's got to see something in you. And there's a couple other guys that didn't make the cut for me, probably wouldn't even crack the top 8. Not that they, you've only got 16 or whatever players in this class, but that he did offer. So there are some guys that they did offer and committed and signed and whatnot that I probably wouldn't put in the top 8. But he's someone they clearly put a lot of manpower into his recruitment. They really wanted this dude here, and they got him. This was big. He's my number 1 player. I wouldn't say it's not even close because, again, Braylon Russell is right there for me at number 2. Ashton Bethel-Roman, I don't know what to expect from him year 1. I really don't. And the same could be said of Charleston Collins and Jaden Allen for that matter. But I really feel like of that bunch, Selman Bridges could, depending on what's going on with Dwight McLaughlin, I'll get you caught up on that here in just a second. Depending on what else happens out of the portal, I really feel like Selman Bridges could crack. Definitely believe he could crack the 3 deep, assuming he comes in. And guys, there's so many stages to this. But if he absorbs everything, plays at a level I believe he could play at, and does it as a freshman, does it throughout, camp and everything, I think he could crack the 2 deep. I like him a lot. And that's saying a lot because I think their secondary is going to be really good coming off of a really unbelievable turnaround. 31st in the country in passing yards allowed, whereas the year before you were 195th or whatever. 128, but whatever. The turnaround's incredible. Clearly he wanted to be a part of it, and great get. Yeah, Selman Bridges is my number 1 with Braylon Russell right behind him. Again, I know someone's going to say, why not Collins higher? Again, it does kind of have something to do with what's his potential in really busting into the two deep. I just don't think it's real high. But we got a ways to go, man. And, again, he's ready. He's got the size, 6'4", 6'5", 270 pounds. He's got the size. I like what I've seen out of him. People I've talked to like him a lot. Believe he could be the best player of this bunch, and maybe that's the case. So coming out of fall, well, probably spring camp, I'll update this list. Maybe he cracks up in there, right? Maybe he comes up in my top newcomer list. As far as the transfers, I mean, Pittman, if I understood him correctly, he believes these guys, it's not just quality depth. I think he's expecting these guys to shoot for some real playing time. So I was going to look at the transcript here in just a second. Yeah, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe if you're just now coming in. Hey there, my friend. What's up, Daniel Hadley? Long time no see, sir. Hope all's going well. Braylon Russell looks like a running back Alabama would have. He's great burst. Hey, looks like he's got solid vision. If there's something there, he's going to take it. He's not afraid of the physicality of the game, but that's also why running backs are becoming their value in the NFL is plummeted. I've been telling you guys that for like 4 years. The value of a running back in the NFL is plummeting, and some of it has to do with the durability factor, and that includes these kids that play running back all the way to junior high through high school into college, right? Kavion Henderson is not a guy to overlook as well. Yeah, Henderson was on my outside looking in list. He was my like number 7, number 6 guy. I like him a lot. He's actually a 4-star on composite. 247 has him as a 3-star. He is someone to keep an eye on as well. I do agree. Thanks for bringing that up. Boss Hog, no lies. What did Boss Hog say? What did he say? I'm scrolling up. Mr. Razorback Red, Arkansas better start looking at Miz as a rivalry. It definitely is to you now. Well, to each their own. People got triggered over that Eli Drinkowitz tweet. I mean, whatever. He's obviously got a personal vendetta against the U of A. What did he say? You guys said he said something. Did he delete it? What did Boss Hog say? I'm trying to find it. I want to give props if someone's got something that's worth reading here. People stop. I'm not going to read. People stop complaining about playing in Little Rock. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. I'll be deep in the cold ground before I recognize Mizzou. That's a well, I can't find it. I don't know what he said that you guys are talking about. What about Nudie? Do tell. Okay, yeah. So Nudie, if you guys follow him on Twitter, I have to pull up exactly what he said. I appreciate the retweets, by the way. Philip, thank you, sir, for the retweets. I do appreciate that. I don't like how Twitter now, when you post something, and if you click on, or someone else, if someone posts something, you click on it, and then underneath it, it shows something else that person tweeted. It's so confusing because it's like, well, wait, did he just respond to his own tweet with something off topic? Like what? Anyways, Dwight McGlothern had tweeted. I'm gonna pull it up here. Promise, I'm not trying to hold you guys up on this. I just should have had it up. Okay, so he quote tweeted yesterday of the PFF 2023 NFL Draft Big Board. Again, something else we talked about in Patreon and Discord. He doesn't make the cut for corners at all. And it's a bunch of corners. He doesn't make the cut. So remember, he wants to go pro. He wants to go play in the NFL. He's got a high PFF grade, and they don't even give the man or they don't give him a spot on that list, which is unbelievable. If you ask me, I thought, man, if there's somebody you're going to throw on that list, they don't have him on that list. And if you look at the list, they've got guys I don't think have any business being in front of him. Now Enos Rakestraw at Mizzou is really good, but I would think that Dwight McGlothern would be in front of him. They got a kid out of Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell, PFF ranked number 40. They have him going. I mean, it's not first round, but they've given him a really good grade. Dwight McGlothern is nowhere to be seen. So you kind of wonder if that's not lingering on him a little bit. He's not given a really good draft grade, and this isn't the only place, by the way. Someone had texted me earlier about, well, he didn't make so-and-so's list either, being even in the top 2 rounds that were available on that, or top 3 rounds that were available on that particular website. So I don't know if he's someone who just wants to get drafted, isn't really concerned about being taken in the first 3 rounds where you can make some serious dough. But I think he should be there. And now, obviously, if you're seeing this sort of stuff, this ought to be for Dwight. This ought to be for Nudie. This ought to be a pretty big red flag. Like, hold up. Now, it's not to say that PFF is rock solid on all this. In fact, if I remember right, their list last year they gave a list of players that should be drafted in their particular positions, not what they thought they would be. So that's different. But to me, if I'm Nudie, I'm looking at this and going, maybe I should consider. I mean, really, maybe I should reconsider. Maybe I ought to go back to Arkansas. Why not? So that's going to have an impact on some of these freshmen coming in, and also the guys they're picking up out of the portal. So that's what that was all about. Oh, okay. Don't count out ABR. Ashton Bethel-Roman, those Houston kids are any kid out of Texas, especially either Houston or the Dallas-Fort Worth area, don't do it. Further out west, don't do it, man. Them Texas kids are for real. Go 4-8, and he want to be on there next year. Getting pissed over Drinkwitz posting something reinforces his winning. Arkansas start beating him on and off the field, and that will shut him up. I really hope Arkansas sweeps them in back. I hope they beat them at the way they're playing right now. I just hope they can get a damn win. He said these kids in Houston are ballers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I see it now. Yep. Well, he ain't wrong. I agree with that 110%. So let's do a poll here really quick since you guys are all in here. Oh, wow. They changed the okay. We're going to do a poll. Happy with the 2024 class? Should we do that? Happy with the 2024 class. I guess I should say so far, right? And this is including transfers. If it'll let me. Here we go. The options are going to be yes, no, or mid. There you go. There's the poll. So there's your poll. Ty, if you were to give Arkansas a draft class grade, what would it be? Wait, what? What do you mean? Are you talking about the kids that are able to go pro? I don't know what you mean by that. Bumble's BS. That's BS. A speeding ticket won't get you kicked off the team. Whoa. What? I need a ball cap that says no, I hate y'all. Yeah, so Snacks on Twitter, someone at Mizzou tweeted at him, or a Mizzou fan tweeted at him about joining Missouri or whatever, and he responded with no, I hate y'all. I don't want to get into the Arkansas Mizzou. Like, it's kind of like the Arkansas Little Rock thing, or Fayetteville Little Rock. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. That just becomes a ramble, and I don't want to do that. But to each their own. If that's a rivalry to you, then awesome. To me, it feels like a rivalry that's born out of envy. Arkansas fans feel like they should be better than they are in football, and Mizzou's beating you, so you're jealous about it. It's not. It's not. I don't know. Again, to each their own. What's up with McAdoo? Is he coming back? I have no update on McAdoo. I have no idea. I was kind of surprised nobody asked Pittman about it today. That would also be – that's something worth keeping an eye on too. I mean, he was in the hospital apparently for a while. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? I mean, Pittman need to cut the buddy shit out and play the best players and not who's been here the longest. Well, speaking of that – oh, did we get another retweet? Hey, look at you, Jumpmaster Scott in Austin. Thank you for the retweet, man. Appreciate that. On the Twitters. It's Tuss Talk with Ty if you're not already following me there. I know I don't do a very good job of promoting my socials. I'm on Facebook. I don't know. I tried posting there, and I don't know. I'm getting to be that. I'm not old. I mean, I'm only 40 for crying out loud, but like I'm getting to that point where I just hate that app. And I only go to socials for the social media for the sports, you know. That's really about it. And there's some really – have you guys noticed how Twitter's becoming rotten.com? Do you OGs remember rotten.com? God, YouTube just demonetized me right now. I can already feel it. You guys remember that? That's what Twitter's becoming. Seems like every day I'm pulling up, I'll just go down my feed and there's some nasty shit on my screen. Like, I didn't ask for this. What is this? Bookmark. What was I doing here? I had a point. John Haas. Oh, Haas also retweeted. Oh, thank you, John. I see that. Let's talk really quick about what's going on at quarterback. Sam was asked about the battle, the quarterback battle, and I have the full video up. I was in the Zoom call, so I didn't bother editing anything. I just threw it up. But he was asked about the situation at quarterback. If I could pull this up and find it, I've got the transcript. I'm just looking through here. Talk about the two quarterbacks. Well, obviously, we had KJ Jackson, so it's not really this isn't the competition part. I know he was at. Oh, there it is, quarterback battle. That's what we're looking for. Is there going to be a quarterback battle? Well, we've got to get the most reps so Bobby can see them live. So we probably will start early. 2 spotting. It doesn't have to be the ones and freshmen and then the 2s and 3s. It can be the ones and whoever you want to look at on this field. We may or may not do that, but I'm assuming. It's helped us in the past. I'm assuming we will. Obviously, that battle, we've got 3 guys. We've got 3 guys in there in a battle. And KJ Jackson, will get in there. And he'll jump right in the middle of them too. Each guy has to earn what they get, but we have to give them the opportunity to do that as well. So we've got to figure all that out. We haven't talked about that, and I don't even know if Bobby knows that we do 2-spot or not yet. It's going to be a battle, straight up. Now, obviously, I think Sam sometimes picks and chooses his words because of prior commitments and promises made to these players, right? He can't just throw it all out there. I do believe there's going to be a battle. I don't think for a second that Petrino just has, Taylon Green's it. He's going to be the one. It wouldn't shock me if they rolled out the ones and it's Green. Wouldn't shock me, in spring camp. It's going to make spring very interesting. I do think people are going to show up to the red-white scrimmage, by the way, just to see this offense, to see Petrino, and to see these quarterbacks and how well they play, to take a look at the transfers from a year ago. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a quarterback battle, and I think it could be a pretty good one. I don't know what to make. I can remember in the Chad Morris era talking about, quarterback battles can be healthy, and they can be. But that also depends on the personnel, depends on the guy calling the plays. It certainly matters if you've got a doofus of a head coach. Talking about Chad Morris, there's no doubt that guy had no idea what the hell he was doing here, and you saw the product on the field in the situation they had at quarterback. With Bobby Petrino at the helm, as far as being the offensive coordinator, I don't know how to feel about a 1 and 2 going at it all through fall camp. I don't know how to feel about when they announce the quarter QB1. That's going to be a hot topic through spring camp. It certainly is. And it's something I know you guys are going to ask me plenty about. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to seeing it unfold. But this is going to be a very fascinating spring camp, and the red-white scrimmage should provide some entertainment. But who knows? And even if let's say Green takes the majority of the snaps with QB1 or with the ones, does that mean in fall camp he's, even if they, because how this works too, they may not even announce a starting quarterback. So what does that mean going into fall camp? And what does that do to the mental state of these two quarterbacks, feeling like they're in it. And then if they do announce a quarterback as a starter, what does that do for the guys that are looking at the 3 spot, right? Talking about the redshirt freshman quarterback and KJ Jackson. Do they just hit the portal? Are they like, to hell with this, I'm out? Who knows? I don't think KJ Jackson would. He just got here. But, yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how all this unfolds for sure. And I'm looking forward to it. Any other staff changes, Sam was asked, and his response was no, not that I'm aware of. No. We'll see. I really hope they keep most of that defense. I really hope. I'd like to see him keep everybody because I thought the turnaround, at least in the pass defense, the run defense was fine. You could just tell the wear and tear really, really stacked up on these guys last year. He did briefly. I say briefly. He actually talked quite a bit about KJ Jackson, but apparently, and if we're reading this wrong, so KJ Jackson when he committed was like 6'2", 6'3". Sam says here, talking about. There's a lot here. Hang on. Talking about KJ Jackson and him are very similar. I think he's talking about Taylor Green there. They throw the football and can run the football. I love his leadership. The quarterback's job, in my opinion, is to make everybody around him, including the defense, better. Oh, I missed the sentence. That's the wrong sentence. My bad. He said, when we saw KJ Jackson, he said, man, this guy's athletic. Again, he's talking about Petrino here. He's smooth. He's got a quick release. He's very accurate. And I said, well, if you like the tape, you're going to love the kid. We went on a home visit, and what a wonderful family. He's 6'5", and I mean, he's a big man that can run and has a very, very strong arm. 6'5"? What did he did he is that a growth spurt? My God. He was like 6'2", 6'3" yesterday, and now he's 6'5". So now you got a couple of 6'5" quarterbacks. That's interesting. Maybe we'll see when he gets here. We'll see what the U of A lists him at when he's officially on campus. So, yeah, what are we at? Are we over an hour? We're coming up on the hour. Oh, we are over an hour. Okay. Well, I'm going to read some more questions. Yo, Tyzilla. Michael Kopesky, where have you been, sir? What's Papa Ty? Smash the like button, people, says Blood Diamond Entertainment. I appreciate that, man. Every time you hit the like button for Ty, an angel gets its wings. Is that mine? Did I do the thumbnail? Is that the thumbnail? Some of you will get that. He had a Scottie Pippen growth spurt. Yeah. Scottie Pippen goes to UCA and he grows like 8 inches. Ty, letter for the recruiting class. So obviously they're not completely done. Boy, that's a tough one because you have to consider how bad things were. If we're just talking about high school, I think anytime you're outside the top 25, maybe a C-. But it's like, considering how bad things went, it feels like a B+, B-, B+. I'd say overall about a C-. I'm really curious to see what they do with the spots that are left out of the portal. That for sure is something I'm very interested in. He did ask, or he was asked, I should say. He talked about what the remaining spots and what they want to do. Boy, there's so much here. He had a lot to say, that's for sure. Well, he did say on Braylon Russell here really fast. Let me just get you caught up there. Bobby and I were sitting and watching his tape, and we think he could play right now. He's got the size, the physicality. He loves the state of Arkansas, the university, great parents, but I'll tell you, he's got the size and the physicality. He's really good, really improved, in my opinion, over the last year. Didn't have to have his statistics may not be world beaters, but they didn't have to use him. They had a really good ball club, but I think he has a chance to play for us this year. That's what he said about Braylon Russell, by the way. Man, there's so much here. What did he say about remaining spots? So I know they want to go after some more interior defensive linemen, some more interior offensive linemen. I think they want another running back, and they want a corner. So they're not done out of the portal, and if they have 8 spots left, I think hopefully they can go out and get who they want. I can't find the actual quote, what he said, what he wanted. I had it highlighted, but you know how that works. You move the mouse around and you click the wrong button and you lose the highlight. But my God. Autobots roll out. Anyways, so we know he's still looking at some pieces on the offensive line. They went out looking for tackles. They feel like they got them, so now they want to anchor things up along the line of scrimmage. They do need more interior defensive linemen. I said it a couple of weeks ago. They're shy there a little bit. They're a little shy there. So yeah, and they're going to go out and get them another corner and another running back. He said they're fine with tight ends. Okay. No more tight ends. So that rumor put to bed. No more tight ends. It looks like they're good there, assuming they don't lose anybody to the portal. All right. Well, I do appreciate you guys. Once again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Shout out to our sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. They operate out of Central Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. They're offering 10% off. Better get there. It's part of their winter savings for any garage door repair. Give them a call today at 501-244-3667. And, of course, shout out to our other sponsor, Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria. They offer sub sandwiches, wonderful pies, great stuff on tap, local IPAs, great environment, great place to catch a game. That's the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria on Emma Street in Springdale. All right. I wouldn't drink Kool-Aid if we brought in a roster that got bodied by Buffalo either. Wait, what? All right. Anyways, you'll have to carry that conversation over to Discord. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Oh, by the way, happy with the 2024 class so far, including transfers. 44% of you say no or yes. 16% of you say no. 39% of you at the moment. I'm going to give you a second to, if you haven't taken that poll yet, if you're listening to this, open up your screen. I know a lot of you tell me, well, I've got my earbuds in. Pull up your screen and vote. But it looks like 46% of you right now, so far, you're pretty satisfied. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We're going to end of course, I'm ahead of you, so it doesn't really do you a lot of good. So there you go. There's our only 65 votes. Okay. Well, I voted no. Fish, that does not surprise anybody. Not a soul. All right, here are the Patreon. Again, it's not updated. The Patreon scroll is up next. Here you go. All right, I'll see you guys. Oh, post-game tomorrow. Here, that'll be the last show for the week unless we have major breaking news on Friday. I'm going to try and spend some more time with the kiddos while they're on their Christmas break. So tomorrow night's post-game should be the last show for the week. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I do like Arkansas to win that game. I'm going to say by 9. Single digits. They got to show me something. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow.